Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining. I'm just waiting for my guest to come online so I can add her to the live. Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Hello, good evening.
How are you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine. I think we had some, what to say, a little bit of problem in the
Technical issues?
beginning. Trouble?
That's
Yeah.
okay, that's okay. It happens most of the times. Even when we are well versed with the platform, there is something or the other which goes wrong.
Yeah. So that's nice. Yeah. Good to
Yeah,
know that have these glitches. Nothing should be perfect.
no. You don't need to worry. Even the people like me who are using Instagram and Facebook every day, we also face problems.
This is my first, also my first Instagram live.
That's wonderful. So I am very proud to be the one to introduce you to this platform.
Yes, thank you.
So before we go ahead, ma'am, can you just introduce yourself to the audience?
All right, yeah. So, my name is Khyrunnisa. It's a little difficult to pronounce. In fact, Manali was, I think, practicing yesterday how to pronounce my name.
Yes,
People always have a problem with the pronunciation and the spelling. It's Khyrunnisa. If you,
Khyrunnisa.
Khyrunnisa, you have to clear your throat and say my name. You have to make a little
Kh,
bit of, make
Okay.
it's a method, yeah. Anyway, Khyrunnisa is also okay, but when you stop dropping the K and say Khyrunnisa, then I say, hey, please. No, it is. That is my name, Khyrunnisa. And to introduce myself, maybe I can say that I'm a human being, I'm an Indian, I'm a woman, and I have been teaching, and now I am writing. I was also writing when I was teaching. Now I'm writing, and I have written a few books. One, my first book for adults is Tongue in Cheek, The Funny Side of Life, which is the book that you selected as one of the top 20 in your reading list for 2021. I'm sorry, 2020.
2020. Yes.
2020. You chose this book. Thank you very much for putting it among the. I think you read some almost 200 books
No.
in
I read close to 120 books.
120. All right, and 120 minus in the first 20 is very nice. Thank you very much. And that was how I knew about you when you sent me this message that you have put my book in the top 20. So that is, and I have also written other books for children, Butterfingers, and so on. So that's, I think that's more than enough about me.
So
Yes.
even when you're talking about yourself, there's this, without trying to be funny, you are naturally funny, even in your talking. So that's
Okay.
actually one of the questions, one of the top questions that I have in my mind. Can I start with my questions?
Yeah, sure, you shoot.
Yes. So my first question to you is when I read the book tongue in cheek, I was like constantly laughing or chuckling at every chapter and every little line that and every observation that you have made in that book. So tell us how one can go about writing humor because that is something which I am also grappling with.
Okay, I don't think it is something that you can write overnight. One of the first things you need to write humor, I think, is to be the youngest in among 8 children, which is what happened to me. I'm the youngest of 8 and 7 girls and 1 boy, and you have to be humorous. It is a survival tactic. Otherwise, you don't know how it is. Your sisters will sit on your head, and if you have to survive, anyway, you're the smallest. If you have to survive, you have to learn the art of repartee, how to speak, how to say those clever things, how to outsmart your older sister. They don't like it much, but still, you keep on trying. So your skills at humor, my skills rather, were honed then. Plus, I had this weakness for humorous books. I love reading all kinds of books. But
Hmm.
if you give me a whole lot of books, my hand will reach out towards a P.D. Woodhouse or a humorous book. So, how to bring humor in your writing? I think what you need to do is to look at the ludicrousness of life.
Hmm.
To look at the absurd in life, to have the ability to not to take life too seriously. I'm not saying that you must be flippant, but you must uh, be able to look at the lighter side of things,
Hmm.
because we are not tuned to enjoy or to laugh.
Hmm.
It is, we are wired, we human beings are wired to laugh, to understand humor. Every culture, there's a
Hmm.
place for humor in every culture. That's what anthropologists have found out. So we can laugh. What we need is, we need some trigger to laugh. So what, as a writer, what I do is that I look at the ridiculousness of life, the things that it may be serious. When something is happening, which is, it could be very serious, like when the pressure cooker lid blew up. I wrote.
That's one of my favorite chapters.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but Manali, you can imagine how it would have been when it was actually happening. I'm standing there, this pressure cooker bodily rises from the stove, and then it comes clattering down, and I'm watching what's happening, and the weight, anytime it would come out, the weight did come out, the dal was going all over the place. I'm standing petrified, wondering when the lid will fall on my head. And my maid comes, she's also frozen, she's also watching, we are watching, so we are actually scared for our lives. Yet one, he was looking at the funny side of it, the way the cooker was moving, the way I was frozen, the way what the thoughts in my head, and all those things. So when
Okay.
something that dangerous is happening, you, one part of you is also looking at the at it from the humorous angle, and
Hmm.
later on you're able to focus on that, and you write about it.
Hmm.
Plus, language is very important. As you notice, a lot of humor is generated through language,
Yes.
puns, riddles.
Hmm.
Then you understate something and then bring in subtle humor. You can exaggerate, and then there will be the ha 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 humor. So there is, it is language that is very important to tickle your funny bone. So on the one hand, you have the incidents. On the other hand, it is the way you present it in a
Hmm.
humorous. That
Hmm.
is what is important. Plus, there is something else that I must tell you, which is I love to laugh at myself. There is
I was
only
actually coming to that. That's one very endearing part about the entire book, which is that you are poking fun at yourself.
because seriously, there is a lot to laugh in me, and I also know that if I laugh at myself, nobody is going to get offended. They will only laugh more. When so self-deprecation is one of the ways in which you can use humor. So these are the various ways in which you can write humor. So it's not difficult, but at the same time, it is not anything that you can develop overnight. First of all, you
Hmm.
need to have a sense of humor. You need to have a sense, right?
Yes.
Without that,
Yeah.
it's a
Even when you're talking, if you're not funny in real life or when in talking, it will not come out in your writing, obviously.
yes. Our, yeah. So that
Yeah,
is.
then that was very insightful. Thank you, ma'am. And my next question again is about related to writing as well. Do you have already mentioned that you have written a children's book, but I want to know what are the other kinds of writing that you engage in?
Other kind of writing, do you mean other than my books? Well, as far
Yes.
as my, I
So
can
yeah,
tell you the
both
kind
both
of
your
writing.
published books and the other platforms that you write for, if any.
Oh, right. See, I have only got these published books. I have written the Butterfingers series, which is again humor. Humor is my forte, you can say. So this humorous Butterfingers books. Butterfingers is a 13-year-old boy who is always neck deep in trouble. And he just jumps from one trouble spot to the other. But it is all very lighthearted and humorous, and he drags his
Okay.
friends with him. right up my street, all right? So that is, there are 6 books in the Butterfingers series. So my first published book was actually a small book, maybe a little like your book, that
Hmm.
it is maybe the same number of pages probably. It was
Okay.
called Lost in Ooty and Other Stories. That's my first book. But the same year, How's That Butterfingers came, 2010. So that is when I started writing. So, and from then on, it has been steadily Butterfingers. 6 books
Okay.
came.
Oh
And
wow.
after that, yeah, and the 7th is just on. And 2 collections of short stories, animal stories, totally different from Butterfingers, but there is also a lot of humor,
So,
and also happen. And then tongue in cheek. All right. So that is my first book for adults. But what writing have I done? Maybe I have written shopping lists and things I must do tomorrow, and which I keep on editing and revising. Like nothing to be done.
okay.
But, previously, I have written. I was a columnist.
Okay.
The columnist for Indian Express, where I wrote about books. I was
Okay.
columnist for Hindu, Metro Plus, where I had this humor column. Other than that, I've written for Outlook Travelers. It's commissioned in
Okay.
either a newspaper or a magazine asks me to write, and
Hmm.
then I write. So that is about all. And otherwise, I have not written. I don't have a blog like you have. On Facebook, I don't write much. There are people who write a lot. They use Facebook as the window to show off their thoughts. But I don't do any of those things. So that is the
Okay.
kind of writing
Okay.
that's
Okay. So what you do as as a writer is completely different from people in my generation are doing as writers.
yes, yes.
Your writing is very conventional, or maybe we can call it old school, uh, which is very different from what I have been used to doing, and that's very fascinating for me, as well as it opens up so many platforms, other platforms which I can explore as a writer. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And related to that, I have one more question, which is that if one is new to writing, so somebody like me, or maybe someone even less experienced than I am, so how can they go about writing or publishing? What is your advice to them, and how does one decide between self-publishing and traditional publishing?
That's a big problem. What what kind of publishing road should you take?
Hmm.
So I would, as you said, minus conventional writing,
Hmm.
and having this conventional mindset, I would definitely go for traditional publishing.
Hmm.
For one thing, it is you can be sure that your book is in safe hands. You're
Hmm.
going to publishers who have been in the field for a long time. They know what to do. They have their distribution system, and
Hmm.
your books will reach bookstores all over the country and maybe abroad depending on the kind of book and what they are targeting and whatever it is. So
Correct.
it's quite possible that your book will be well hidden in a bookstore. You will have to search hard to find your book, but it is there somewhere. You will be on a voyage of discovery. All right, where is my book? And
Hmm.
that could be an article of mine. So that
Hmm.
is one way of going about things. But it is very difficult to get picked up by a traditional
Yeah.
publisher if you are a first time writer. How do you storm that bastion? Abroad, you need to have an agent. I think without an agent, nothing works. But here,
Unsolicited, they don't look at.
yes, exactly. You can't, an author cannot directly negotiate. So you need to have an agent. But that
Hmm.
is just picking on, I mean, it is just picking up here. It's not, there are a few literary agents. There are authors who go to publishers through a literary agent, but it doesn't really work. And also you have to convince the literary agent, and he should have the necessary clout to be the go-between between your work and the traditional
Hmm. Hmm.
publisher. And traditional publishers get a huge lot of submissions every day. So how does your book get picked up? How does
Hmm.
your manuscript get picked up. It should be very different. It should be special. There must be something unique about it. I'm not saying because my book got picked up the traditional way. I
Hmm.
sent my manuscript to Penguin to Pumpin. Thankfully, there was a response because they liked the concept. The editor got back to me because she liked the concept of Butterfingers, the fun, the school, the humor, but she wanted a novel. So that's how I wrote my first novel. But once your first book is out, then things get much easier.
Hmm.
So it is the first book that is the problem. But what happens, therefore, is that you can get a little frustrated because every traditional publisher asks you to wait for 3 months at least.
Hmm.
And within 3 months, they don't get back to you because these days they don't send rejections. Otherwise, you can collect rejections. But rejection slips, that will be a unique collection because that has been done by writers in the 19th century and so on. How many rejection slips have I got? But that is not possible because now they don't have the time for that. If they don't respond within 3 months, it means your work is rejected. That's how can you keep on waiting 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months? How long will you wait? You get a little frustrated, right?
Hmm.
So that's how people you opt for self-publishing. Now, with self-publishing, I really do not know how it works. In fact, that's one of my questions to you. I think we will explore that when I ask you, because I think I would like to know from you how you go about it, because with social media and with various exciting opportunities available now, thanks to the internet, there are people who are doing very well with their self-published books.
Yes.
I think your book itself was on the bestseller list. So that is one way in which you can look at publishing. But for me, I would still say that if a traditional publisher picks you up, it's nice.
Yes.
It would be something to um, look out, to aspire to get picked up by
Yes.
or get published by one of the
Definitely.
leading.
Yes.
You get me? What?
Yes. Yes.
That's what I feel.
I will
Maybe
put my insights into your answer later when you ask me the
yes,
question. But this is
last
very what you said is I completely agree with. Having a traditional publisher pick up your book has a charm of its own.
yes.
And my last
That's
question to you is, since you have been writing from many years and you have many books published, I am somebody new, but I have been reading from many years, and I am also exploring new writing by Indian authors. So sometimes it is frustrating for me to read writing which is very mediocre, but even then tends to become very popular. So my next question to you is related to that. What is that one mistake which you feel that most new authors are making these days, and how can one go about avoiding it?
Uh, I really don't know whether I can nail it. I mean, I can pinpoint and say that there is one mistake that authors are making. One mistake that many people, many authors are making, would say, is that, see, when you look at anything from the outside, it looks very nice.
Hmm.
So from the outside, an
Hmm.
author's life looks very exciting. To have your books published looks very good. You think that you can live or make a living out of writing.
Hmm.
Lots of authors believe that you can make a living out of writing. I would say no, because you you will be struggling right unless you hit the big you reach the big league.
Hmm.
Something happens which causes your book to become not just a bestseller, but right there at the top and becomes a phenomenally popular book, so that
Hmm.
your name carries weight and anything that you write after that. Like what happened to Rowling? Whatever
Hmm.
she writes, whether she writes absolute rubbish, also it will get big. It is
True.
like that. But for others, I seriously think you should have a job and then write on the side. But of course, if you want to be a full-time writer, if you think that you can be a struggling writer, you can lead a life of deprivation, and like many of these 19th century writers, and then you will feel so angry, frustrated, upset, depressed, that that, out of those emotions, you might create a bestseller, a masterpiece.
Yes.
I
Right.
really
Right.
don't. So that's one thing. One mistake we make is to believe that you can get a comfortable life out of writing full time. You
Hmm.
might, I think it can give you. It won't be your bread and butter. It might provide some jam. You should look for bread and butter elsewhere, and that is this. And another thing I would say is what you mentioned. There's a lot of mediocrity in writing. Everyone thinks that they can become a writer.
Hmm.
Everyone wants to. But if everybody writes, who's going to read? We need readers. We need readers means I'm not saying that because I am writing, but I'm saying this because I'm a reader.
Hmm.
And you have to be a good reader to ultimately become a good writer. So
Yes.
what writers ought to do is not to get impatient. Keep
Yes.
reading, hone your skills, and when you think you are good enough, I mean, your writing will be good enough, then you go and you write. Otherwise, I think you should not be impatient, should not be hasty, and then feel very frustrated. Nobody is looking at my manuscript. I'm getting rejected. If you can't write a sentence correctly, how can a publisher take your work? They don't think of that. So that's
Yes.
what I feel. Maybe I don't know whether you're okay with my
No, that,
answer.
that that was very honest and some very insightful thoughts that you gave. Yes. I just did an Instagram live on this particular topic some time back, where I was talking about how to turn your writing into a profession. Like, how to start making money out of your writing. And that's the one of the first advice I gave them, that in your 20s, don't make the mistake of quitting your job. Maybe when you are in your 30s or late 20s, by the time you have saved enough and gained enough experience, that's the time when you can think about quitting your full time job, not in your early 20s at least. That's,
Exactly.
that's the time to gain experience and grow. So
Yes,
I
yes.
completely agree with whatever you said. So I have my rapid fire questions now, which are going to be fun, and you have to answer whatever comes to your mind. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
just a minute. Yeah. So children's books or adults books?
uh, children's books and adults. Book.
That's very diplomatic. You have to pick one.
But that's a very tough question because, see, I got stuck in butter, you could say. I started writing, quite by accident, I started writing children's books. And you know how it happens. One led to the other, to the other, to the other. But I would like to write for adults also. Not
Oh,
because I want to move from one to the other. I want to write both.
yeah.
So I really, you are putting me in a kind of a fix by saying I must say one, give one answer. So that's a little difficult. Yeah. So
Okay, I'll spare you that one. Let it go. My
I
next question: would you rather read or write, and why?
write, read and write, or read or write.
Read or write, and why?
Well, I would say read first
Hmm.
because I've always been a reader. I love reading, and reading is so rewarding, so enjoyable, and so effortless. Whereas
True.
writing, yeah, writing is a lot of effort, but it's enjoyable when people enjoy your books. It's a little,
Yes.
there's a little bit of a distance. Whereas
Yes.
with a book, it's immediate. When you read a book, the joy is immediate. So I would say reading first and then writing.
Okay,
When time
and my
becomes
next
reading
question is
time, I would say reading and writing. I'm going to be good. I'm going to take a and.
yeah, my next question is a little controversial. A popular book or author that you don't like? I can see you scratching your head, literally.
I have to scratch. It is a quite tricky question. Let me tell you. All right, I'm going to tread on safe ground, hmm?
Hmm.
And be honest also. James Joyce,
Okay.
acclaimed writer. I like his portrait of the artist as a young man, so I can't say that I dislike him. He's a very celebrated, wonderful writer, and so on.
Hmm.
But the book by him, Finnegan's Wake,
Hmm.
it is impossible to read it. See, I'm not joking. I once asked my students, I told them, if any of you finish this book, I will give you a Cadbury's. And nobody tried to even fool me because I think one page and they decided we don't want her Cadbury's. It was so difficult to read. I just gave up after a few pages. So that is the book I would, James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake, if
Okay.
you want.
Oh, very honest. I love this. Okay, my next question is again related to writing, but we are focusing on India now. So tell me your top three Indian authors.
My favorite Indian authors?
Top three.
Uh,
Any top three favorite?
Top three favorites. Jhumpa Lahiri. I like her very much, her work very much. Rohinton Mistry, one of my
Right.
favorites. Rohinton, I love his fine balance, such a long journey. I love his writing. His prose is wonderful. And Manu Pillai.
I
Manu
haven't read.
Pillai, you haven't read? Okay. Manu Pillai, very young person, he's only 30 years old. He's already written 3 books, Ivory Throne, Rebel Sultans, and there is another one. It's a collection of his articles.
Definitely
The
going to check them out now.
Yes, yeah. You should read this books. Very, but they are. You need a lot of patience in the sense they are thick, heavy books. So I think Ivory
Okay.
Throne is 700 pages,
Oh
and
wow.
of that yeah, he told me that he's also a friend, right? But I'm not. It's not because he's a friend. I'm saying this. I'm very objectively looking at his work, and he said there are so many about 200, 300 pages are notes. He said as if to console me. You can read it without the note. But then I realized you have to read those notes to really get the full picture. So you need to
Okay.
read about 7 pages.
Okay. And top three foreign authors?
Foreign authors, of course, Shakespeare is there right at the top, so I'm not including him in the three. I love him. But P.G. Woodhouse, my all-time favorite because I love
Okay.
humor. P.G. Woodhouse, Bill Bryson.
Mhm.
Bill Bryson, you've heard of Bill Bryson, I'm sure.
I've heard. I've not read actually, but you should recommend me one book, one top book.
One book I must recommend. Well, I think I would recommend Neither Here Nor There.
Okay.
It's a travel book where he's traveling to Europe. It's real
Oh.
fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Neither Here Nor There.
Okay.
That and Marquez.
Sorry.
Marquez.
Okay.
Garcia Marquez. Gabriel
Oh.
Garcia Marquez.
Yes. 1,000 years of solitude. Yeah.
That is another book. It's a very small, slim book.
Yeah.
Chronicle of a Death Foretold. Lovely.
Uh,
It is very
I have
tender.
also heard of Love in the Times of Cholera. I have not read it yet, but even that is a very popular book. Yeah.
I think because of Corona, people started sing love in the time of Corona. Stuff like that.
Okay. And last question in the rapid fire from my side. One quirk of yours which not many people know about. Something which is not there in the book also.
I seriously don't know whether I have those kind of quirks. Maybe I'm all quirky. Everybody knows me.
That is also true because after reading the book, I'm like, this person is full of quirks.
I think I can take it that way, right? And I can't hide it. I put it in writing. It is there for people to read. So I don't have any particular quirk that I would like to highlight.
Okay, so I am done with my questions now, ma'am. I leave the floor to you. You can ask whatever questions you have for
All right. So I think I should also ask you to introduce yourself, right?
me.
So let's see what you have.
You take the cake and starting with I'm a human being, I'm a woman. So I'm going to make it formal. It's going to be a very formal introduction from my side. I am Manali Desai. I am a freelance writer and an editor, and I also blog and I write about books that I read and I write about all my experiences. And sometimes I also write fiction and poetry, which comes out in the form of books. And that's about it. Yeah. I've also been dabbling in various jobs before I decided to become a full-time writer, which was in the field of marketing, in the field of teaching, and in the field of content.
Okay. That was my question, but then you snatched it away. Because I tried to find out what you had been doing, and I realized that you had been doing some marketing, you had been teaching, and you gave these probably steady jobs to take up writing. And that intrigued me because I was just talking about how it is difficult to make a living out of writing. Can you tell me why you did this? Why? What made you? What faith did you have in your writing that made you give up these jobs? And two questions. All right, connected to that, I want to know whether the jobs that you had did they help you in writing? Did they teach you any skills that you use in writing?
Okay, so a little bit of educational background before we go into my professional journey. So I am a commerce student. I have done my graduation in BMS, which is the equivalent of BBA, like a degree in management, a bachelor's degree in management. And after that, I did my master's also in management via my MBA. And after my MBA, that's when I did the marketing job. And while I was doing that job, I realized that, being into sales is not something that I'm going to be happy about. I can't do that for the rest of my life. Luckily, a part of that job was also about making content. And that's when I realized that my forte is into writing. Luckily, I was blessed to have realized that early on in my career itself. In my first job itself, I realized that no, sales is not something I can do. I can do content. So that's how I landed upon my the next job. Actually, my next job was as a teacher because I also did MA in English literature. After
Oh,
realizing my love for writing, I did MA in English literature. So I completely changed my stream from commerce to arts.
so
But
after you went in for literature.
yes.
Oh, wonderful. That was real
So
love for.
yeah, that was the kind of love I had for language and reading, which made me quit a job into marketing and go into a field which can help me in my writing journey. So while I was pursuing my MA in English literature full-time course, I started taking up content writing work, and that helped me develop alongside my studies, whatever little bit of time I was getting, I put that into becoming a professional writer. So that's how I started making a name for myself in the field of content, which is what helped me, take the decision of quitting a full-time job. If you don't have that kind of contacts, I insist whoever is listening to this that don't quit your full-time job unless and until you have a strong portfolio to stand with you, which can get you regular writing assignments. Do not quit your full-time job. Yeah, so that's what helped me take up that
In,
decision of quitting a full-time job.
yeah, and also help you with your writing. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. So after my MA is what when I became a teacher for 1 year, but I realized that was also not something I would excel in. I enjoyed
So
teaching. I enjoyed interaction with the. Yes, I was in a school for 1 year. I was teaching
okay.
primary children, primary
Oh,
section students.
so
Yeah.
your patience has been tested properly.
Yes. So yeah, I have been on that side of the teaching, and I have been on the other side of the teaching when I took up the job of creating the content for teaching. So I've done both.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So you have been doing a lot of things related to writing. Yeah. So
Yes.
I think
So
you will.
I have put in I have like acquired experience in writing in various forms and mediums. That is why I was able to take the decision to quit a job. Even because I
Yeah.
have that kind of experience where I can take up writing assignments which belong to different forms, which
Yeah.
different genres.
Yeah. So I think that confidence is what probably made you quit and go
Yes.
towards teaching. Yeah. So now I was looking at your profile and your pen name is Rustic Mind. I think that's your favorite. I also call bookish witch,
Okay.
bookish witch. Yeah. And also some another lawyer. Uh, you didn't do law, did you?
No, no, I didn't do law.
Okay. All right.
I was
So
working at a law firm. I was working at a legal agency, but I was doing the content for them.
okay. So wasn't that also one of your IDs?
Uh,
Lawyers
so
something.
uh, my legal work is was the name of that firm where I was the senior content writer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So now you tell me why you chose rustic mind.
Uh,
Because
so uh, yes. for there are I get this question a lot, why a rustic mind? And first of all, I need to explain to everyone what the meaning of the word rustic is. Rustic just doesn't mean something which is rural. It also means something which is very pure in its form, and something which is not tarnished by worldly things. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your image is frozen, but I can hear you.
Yes, your image is also frozen, but I'm going to continue.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yes, you can hear me, right?
Hear you, I can hear you. You can hear me too, can't you? I think
Yes.
that we can go on. Yeah.
Yes. So, before I go on to the choosing of the name, I was clarifying the meaning of the word rustic for me, which means something which is not tarnished by worldly things, something which is very pure and simple to understand. That is why
Mhm.
a rustic mind, because I believe my thought process is something which can be relatable and understood easily by everyone. So that's how the name came about.
All right. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah. So now, coming to your book, The Art of Being Grateful, that is the only book of yours that I have read. But I see that you have packed quite a lot into the book is only about the hard paperback. I think it's only 50 to 55 pages, I think, something
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have, it's a unique way of putting things together because you have a picture which is a very, which gives you a hint about the kind of story that is coming. Then you have a
Yes.
short blurb, a little bit about the story. Then you have the story. After that, there is a relevant poem. I like your
Yes.
poems very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that you have, if you like the story, then you are taking the reader to another of your story, which is similar. So that is the pattern of the 8 stories that you have. But after that, you don't give up there. Then you have something called bonus reading. And you have you're giving us not just reading, but some bonus reading where you have tiny tales, you have poems. There are some very good poems there about present situation, the COVID times, and so on. And you also have some snippets, you have some anecdotes. So, are your other books also like this, or is this pattern only for this book? Why did you choose this pattern?
So yes, my books do tend to have various elements put in together. My previous books, if you look at them, they were also my debut book, A Rustic Mind, which is a poetry book. It consists of 32 poems, but they are also accompanied by similar photographs or actually illustrations. And my second book, The Untold Stories, it's a collection of microtales. Again, each microtale is followed uh, by a hand-drawn illustration, which depicts that particular microtale. But it was
Okay.
only in this book that I combined everything together, and actually, it came to me slowly. The ideas came in slowly to me because initially I wanted to put 12 stories together, but I did not get the time to write down 12 stories. And by that time, my release date was coming very close. So I was like, let's go ahead with only 8 stories. But when I put them together, it was only coming to 35 pages. And I did not want people to, not be satisfied with such a
Yeah.
short book. In
That's
when
why
if
I
they are
wanted
paying
to.
49 rupees, I believe that
Yeah.
they should at least get to read 50 pages so I can
Yeah.
justify the cost that I am charging. So
All right.
that's
So that you brought in all these. Okay. But anyway, it
yes.
makes a rather unique kind of reading because you don't expect something coming up after you have finished the 8 stories. So I thought it was very nice. Something you, as you said, is a bonus. It's a little extra, a little more joy that is there at the end. Yeah.
Actually, that's one of my favorite reviews about the book was when the book was compared to a five course meal. First you start with the first meal, then there is condiments, and then there is dessert, and then it just keeps on giving.
All right. So the final bonus reading is the dessert, is it? Okay.
Yes.
The ice cream top. So that is. Then I just got another couple of questions for you. One is, you may have you. It was a conscious choice going in for writing because you were confident that you have the necessary opportunity. You will have the necessary opportunities to get work and so on. But I also noticed you, as you said, you yourself said earlier that you are always, you're often on Facebook, Instagram, you have a blog, so you have a very strong social media presence.
Yes.
How has this helped you in your writing, or
Uh,
what came?
Okay, so in terms of helping with my writing, when I talk about my creative writing, which is poetry and fiction and micro tales, social media has helped me improve in in that genre because I have had many people come and tell me, even though my writing is appreciated, there are a few, souls who I can count on, who come and tell me what was missing in that piece of writing or what they expected more out of it, which has helped me grow as a writer. And that was only possible because social media doesn't have friends and family. They have people who are unknown to you. They are not going to be very kind about your writing. They will tell you what the truth is.
You need that. You need honest feedback because
Yes.
you don't want people to just tell you we like your writing very much, and you want
Hmm.
to know if there's anything wrong with it, in what way can you improve. So I think that's a good thing.
Yes. So that's one thing which social media helped me with. And besides that, it has also helped me build up a community of my own. I mean, there's a following for my work, which I was only able to gather thanks to social media. And I don't think that any writer in this age can work without that. If you are going to promote your work online, that has to come through social media only, and tapping into the right market, social media is your platform to do that.
And I think your background, the initial work that you did, must have really helped you explore this and maybe even exploit this
Yes.
to get, yeah. So that's a very good thing, because these days without that, you're nowhere. You need social media to really.
I always tell my readers and whoever buys my books, I always tell them that if there was no social media, I don't think I would have been able to sell more than 30 copies of any of my books so far. Because how much can you promote in your own circle?
That's right. That is also why there are lots of self-published writers who are doing very well because they know business management, they know how to tap their resources, so they know how to go about things. So once
Yes.
you're savvy with all this, I think in fact, I even found an article that said it's better to publish on your own rather than go to a traditional publisher because you can be sure that your book is really selling well.
Yes.
Because that's another way of looking at it. So I'm sure readers must have picked up a lot of tips from you about how to uh, become a writer and how to become a successful
Yes.
writer. Now
Yeah.
coming to my so congratulations, Manali, and wish you
Thank
all
you.
the
Thank
best.
you, ma'am.
Yeah. And my last question is this global lockdown that we have now. How did it affect you? How did it help your creativity? Do you think it was a blessing for a writer in disguise or not in disguise?
Uh, so personally, it was a very tough time, but as a writer, it was a time to thrive for me. Thrive, literally, I'm using the word thrive, not even grow, because 2020 improved my writing skills to a level which I cannot even measure because it was only because I was able to, confine myself to the four walls of the house, literally, that I got the chance to publish my book. And then I explored some more forms of writing where I was able to connect to writers at a global level through platforms like Medium, and that has helped me understand what kind of writing actually exists at a global level rather than just at the Indian level or Asian level. That's the kind of exposure right 2020 has provided me.
All right. So that is how it has helped and probably also gave you a lot of many themes to write on. It must have
Yes.
inspired you for the kind of situation. So both must have helped you,
Yes.
helped your creativity. So I'm sure you'll go on to write many more books and do a lot more writing. Manali, wish you all the best.
Thank
And
you.
now, yeah. So I have to return the compliment. You gave me some rapid fire questions, so I need to shoot them.
Yes, I'm ready.
The first one, what comes first, the story or the title?
For me, the story.
Story,
Yes.
always?
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't. You should have asked me that question. Never have gone again. Ah, that, this also, and so on. And you tell me, no, I can't ask you any questions. Oh, so coming to the next question, what do you like better, prose or poetry? Like meaning, I don't mean to read, to write.
So I'm going to be very diplomatic about this because I generally tend not to offend any of the genres. Even I feel like the genres also get offended. So prose as a reader and poetry as a writer.
Prose as a
Reader.
reader and poetry as a writer. Okay. And I like your poetry. Yes.
Thank you.
The third question, you're a traveler. You have said that you love to travel. You've been traveling. Now, right now, you're in the Netherlands, and I'm here in Trivandrum, and we are connected,
Oh wow.
and we don't.
Our common ground is India, and we are like in two different parts of the world.
So I don't think when we leave, I don't know whether I can say good night to you because I wouldn't know what the time is there.
So
It would.
currently it is 5:20 p.m. in the evening here. And
So
what's
I
the
can
time?
say, yeah, yeah. Here it is 10 to 10. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We are all, everybody else is getting ready to sleep, and I don't know. I hope we have not put them to sleep. Contributed to.
I think there are still about 8 people in the live, so I think we have managed to entertain them.
Yes, yes, yes. So that is great. So we have put several people to sleep. There are some still awake. Now, as a traveler, which place disappointed you the most? I'm not asking which place did you like the most, which place did disappoint you the
I
most?
uh, I was very unfortunate to visit the Eiffel Tower at a time when it was the whole area of Paris was under a strike, and I was not able to go inside the premises of the Eiffel Tower. So it was very, very disappointing and heartbreaking for me. And
Okay.
after that, I have not been able to visit again. So, like, my heart is still broken.
Um, so that is Eiffel Tower let you down.
Yeah, literally.
So now the penultimate question. I don't know whether you're a foodie. I don't know much about you, but do you have any food fads?
Oh. I I am a foodie, but I generally, since the past 1 year, I have been consciously trying to avoid eating junk food as much as possible. But I do stress eat, and when I do stress eating, the first thing I grab is a bar of chocolate. So I'm going to go with that. That's my comfort food.
That's your comfort food. I think that's most people's comfort. It's most people have a bar of chocolate with you, and also when you're traveling,
Yes,
if you think you go hungry for a long time, it is a nice snack to carry with you. Yeah.
yes.
So finally, does anything? Last question. Do you
Hmm.
have any phobias? Does anything scare you, especially?
I think
If you
losing
ask me,
the
Instagram live.
social media validation is not something I want to rely on, and it's very toxic if you come to rely on that. So I don't advise anyone to have a phobia like that. Uh, my phobia actually is very much close to my heart and related to my profession currently. It's the ability to stop writing in whatever form, like even in a capacity, mental capacity, physical capacity, whatever capacity. If I lose the ability to write, that's like a nightmare. What will I do with my life? That's the kind of phobia I have.
You're always worried that you might not be able to write because
Yes.
the whole world, your life centers around writing. I don't think that's going to happen. don't worry about that. So that is a phobia that I don't think will happen. It's just a fear that you have, but it will not uh, materialize. It will not happen.
Yeah, thank you
So
so
I
much.
think that is, yeah. So wish you all the best, and it was
Thank you
lovely
so much.
speaking to you.
It was a pleasure talking to you. You were such a wonderful person to, an easy person to talk to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for
So,
being a part of this segment, and I had a really good time talking to you. The video will be uploaded on my IGTV and YouTube channel, so whoever missed catching the full conversation here can always go back and have a look at it. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for joining, and thank you to all the viewers, whoever was with us today and was with us from the beginning to the end. A special thank you to you.
yes, thank you very much, Manali, for your author collaborator. It's a very nice platform. I mean, it's a very nice initiative on your part, and
Thank
it
you.
was really lovely speaking with you. So, good evening to you. I cannot say good night. Good night is for me. And thank you very much. And
And a good
thank
night
you.
to you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Bye.
So, good night to all those in India and all those who are who listened and who joined in. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
So, good day and good
Bye.
night.